Shayla had spent 3 years working as an executive assistant at Hartley-Tech, one of the top tech companies in the city, known for its cutting-edge innovations and groundbreaking software. She was good at her job, exceptionally good, actually, but no one saw that. Not really. To most of the executives, she was invisible, the woman in the corner, the one who made sure they had their coffee, scheduled their meetings, and took their calls. They assumed she was just another cog in the machine, someone who had gotten her job through a mix of good timing and diversity quotas. Her boss, Derek, was the worst of them. He was smug, with a sense of entitlement that came from years of being groomed for success in a system designed for people like him. A white man in his early 40s with perfectly manicured hair, crisp suits, and an easy smile, Derek prided himself on being the company's rising star. He didn't just assume Shayla was insignificant, he made sure to remind her, in subtle but cutting ways. "Shayla, did you get that report I needed?" Derek would ask, as if she was more of a secretary than someone with actual potential. "You know, I need things to be done quickly. I can't always wait around." She would smile politely, her hands always steady, even when her heart clenched. "Yes, Derek. It's already in your inbox." "Good," he'd reply, without a shred of gratitude. "I'd expect nothing less." He didn't know, and would never know, that Shayla had spent years learning the ins and outs of the company, quietly absorbing everything she could. She wasn't just organizing Derek's calendar or fetching his coffee, she was the person who made sure the team was cohesive, who managed complex logistics that kept the entire operation running smoothly. But her contributions went unnoticed. No one cared to look deeper, to understand her value. It wasn't just Derek. Most of the senior executives, including Catherine, the head of HR, and Todd, the head of finance, treated her like a shadow in their professional lives. They were too busy climbing over one another to notice her quiet strength. But what they didn't know, what no one knew, was that Shayla wasn't just the assistant she appeared to be. She was more than they could ever imagine. And one day, the truth would come crashing down on all of them. It all started with a crisis. The company's biggest investor, a multi-billion-dollar venture capital firm, had pulled out unexpectedly. Derek had been scrambling for weeks, trying to secure additional funding, but his leadership had been ineffectual. Investors were starting to pull away, and the pressure on the senior leadership team was reaching a breaking point. One evening, after another failed meeting with potential investors, Derek stormed into the office, his face red with frustration. "Shayla, I need you to gather the team for an emergency meeting first thing in the morning. I don't want to hear any excuses," he snapped, his voice harsh. "You're good at that kind of thing, right?" Shayla didn't flinch. "Of course, Derek. I'll take care of it," she replied quietly, her voice even. She had long learned how to navigate his rudeness, how to give him what he wanted without letting it touch her soul. It wasn't the first time he had snapped at her, and it wouldn't be the last. As she made the necessary arrangements, something in her shifted. The company she had devoted so much of her life to, the company she had built with her blood, sweat, and tears, was on the verge of collapsing. She knew how the game worked. She knew how the power players moved, and they were moving in the wrong direction. Shayla didn't just want to save the company. She wanted to take control of it. The next morning, the emergency meeting was called. Derek stood at the front, flanked by Catherine and Todd, while Shayla silently took her seat at the back of the room. The team was tense, everyone murmuring about the looming crisis. "We are on the verge of losing everything," Derek began, pacing. "We need to get another round of funding, fast. We are negotiating with a few more investors, but if this doesn't work out, we may have to start laying people off." There was a collective gasp among the team, but Derek didn't notice. He was too focused on his own stress to pay attention to anything else. But Shayla saw everything. She saw the cracks in their leadership, the arrogance that had led to their downfall. And in that moment, something snapped inside her. She stood up slowly, her voice calm but unwavering. "Actually, Derek," she said, her eyes locking onto his, "the problem is not just the funding. The problem is your leadership. You've been too focused on keeping up appearances, too focused on pretending that you have everything under control. This company needs change. Real change. And that starts with you." Derek's face flushed with anger. "What the hell are you talking about, Shayla? You're an assistant, not the CEO. Stay in your lane." Shayla didn't flinch. I'm the one who knows the pulse of this company, Derek. I'm the one who's been here through every phase, every meeting, every deal. I've been the one making sure everything runs smoothly, while you've been too busy focusing on your ego to see what's right in front of you. The room went silent, every eye now on Shayla. No one had ever spoken to Derek this way before. It wasn't just about her words, it was the fact that she had the audacity to challenge him in front of the entire team. Derek sneered, trying to maintain control. You think you can do my job? You think you can lead this company? Don't kid yourself. I can, Shayla said, her voice steady, unwavering. And I will. Because I'm not just the assistant. I'm the majority shareholder of this company. There was a collective gasp. Derek's jaw dropped. What? What are you talking about? Shayla's eyes darkened as she stepped forward, a slow smile playing at the edges of her lips. I'm the majority shareholder of Hartley-Tech, Derek. My family, who you've never bothered to ask about, owns this company. My grandfather started it. And after his passing, the shares were passed down to me. I've been quietly overseeing everything. You never knew who really held the power in this company, did you? Shayla watched as the realization slowly dawned on Derek's face. The man who had belittled her for years, the man who thought he could walk over her without a second thought, was now standing in the presence of someone who was far more powerful than he ever realized. The room was silent, everyone frozen in place as Shayla revealed the truth. She continued, her voice full of calm authority. I've been watching all of you, your arrogance, your dismissiveness, your refusal to recognize the value of people like me. You thought you could run this company into the ground, but I won't let that happen. I'm taking control now. You'll all have to answer to me. For a long moment, no one spoke. Derek, too proud and too humiliated to respond, just stood there, his face pale. Catherine and Todd exchanged uneasy glances. Shayla had just torn down everything they thought they knew about the company, and about her. Finally, Derek cleared his throat, but his voice was unsteady. You can't just. I can, Shayla interrupted. And I will. In the weeks that followed, Shayla stepped into her role as CEO with a calm, unshakable confidence. She overhauled the company's structure, cutting ties with the executives who had been complacent, and realigned Hartley-Tech's priorities. Under her leadership, the company shifted its focus toward innovation, toward inclusion, toward integrity. She made sure that the people who had been overlooked, the ones who had been working tirelessly behind the scenes, were given the recognition and opportunities they deserved. Derek, now relegated to a lower position, had no choice but to watch as Shayla led the company toward success. He had to swallow his pride and take orders from the very person he had dismissed for years. But as the months passed, something remarkable happened. Derek began to respect Shayla. He saw how she worked tirelessly for the company, how she treated everyone with fairness and dignity, and how she turned Hartley-Tech into a leader in the industry, all while maintaining her integrity. It wasn't just her intelligence that impressed him, it was her character. One afternoon, Derek approached her in her office. He stood in the doorway, hesitating for a moment before speaking. I was wrong about you, he said quietly, the weight of his admission heavy in the air. You were right. You were the one holding everything together. I just didn't see it. Shayla looked up from her desk, meeting his eyes. I don't need your apology, Derek. What I need is your respect. That's what we all need. This company doesn't work without that. Derek nodded, a silent understanding passing between them. Shayla smiled, a small, knowing smile. Good. Now, let's get back to work. If you enjoy this story, please like, comment and subscribe. Until next time, stay curious, who knows what story we will uncover next.